Alright, now we are live. That took way longer than it was supposed to. Let me let people know over in the Discord. How are you doing, guys? I'll send that link really quick and then we will. Alright, we should be up, so I see some people coming in. It says I need to change the video resolution. How does everything seem to you guys? If you're watching this, let me know how well everything's coming through. I'm showing that I've got poor quality on my end, that I'm having some issues with my setup. Looks good. Alright, hey, what up? What up, Bob? Hey, Dan. How's it going, everybody? So I haven't, like I said, there's a reason I haven't been streaming, guys. Sorry about that. I'm on a travel laptop, and I don't, while the laptop's fine when it comes to streaming and using charts and stuff, I don't have extra monitors for, you know, all the setup and stuff. My kids are sleeping in the main room. So I'm throwing this up in here just to kind of do this chat. Hey, Ralph, what's going on? And if I need to, and Rose and I want to show some charts and stuff, we'll do that just by jumping over, but don't mind the little black spot on the recording screen. So let's go ahead and kick this. Sorry for the late start, guys. I'm Gator, and let's kind of talk about Tesla split, the market adapting as a trader, and I think both Rose and I have a few things to say about it and just how trading has been lately. So thanks for coming out. Sorry for the delay, and I'm looking forward to the show tonight.
I am not seeing the YouTube live.
You're not seeing the YouTube live?
I can't.
Where?
Yeah.
On YouTube or on what?
On YouTube. How do I get to
new link?
New.
There's a new link.
It's just buffering this one that was 26 seconds long.
Yeah, that's the old link.
How do I get to the new one? Oh, it's in the Discord?
Yeah, I posted a new one in the Discord. It was on YouTube. It was the old one. I just had technical difficulties. I'm not sure what was going on. There's something with my computer trying to do everything. This is like one of the, what do we call it, the old shows where me and CT could never, or it wasn't CT, it was literally just me, but I could never get anything to work how it was supposed to.
Okay, got it.
I'll delete the other one just so people don't know, or so people don't get done in it. But anyway, all that being started, that's a great way to start off a video. How you been doing?
Exactly. So my sound is good.
Yep, you're good. I hear you. Okay. You're on. Your video is good. People can see you. Okay. So I think we're good. I think we're good across the screen. I've got to play with my stuff, but you know, we are good. So how have you been?
I've been really good. Really busy this last weekend, and was tired coming in today, which I definitely noticed affected me mentally because I was so tired from really doing a lot this weekend. Mm-hmm. But I didn't. This morning, I saw some people wanted us to go over that initial trade that you took, mm-hmm. and that might be a good thing to start off with, and then I can share a little bit like what I did later in the day after I think I had taken off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd love to show this. So let me show my Streamlabs really quick. Here we go. So do excuse us, guys. So you can probably see Rose in the top corner of this. You can't see me right now just because of actually that might be a way to do this and keep our chart up.
No, I don't see you or me, so I just see your charts, which is
it's just
cool.
On mine. That's fine. I can see you. Again, technical difficulties today, guys. So and after Rose talks, I'm going to talk about some of this too. But let's look at Tesla. So some people in chat and Discord earlier wanted to know why I took Tesla early. So I think you guys could tell me how quickly it was, Rose. I think it was like I started calling Tesla out like a few seconds, like 30 seconds into the market or open or so. And what I saw was, so your yeah, you had a down day Friday, but we came into the 200. So here's your 200 moving average, simple moving average on the 2-minute chart. There's VWAP. We open up right above it and we pull right down into it. As soon as we pull through it, it also kind of tags a pivot, and then it just starts going up. So it instantly hammers. So as soon as it goes down here, if you're watching the level 2, it wasn't some super heavy selling that looked like it was just going to flush and chop around between the 200 and the 21. It just went down quickly, barely printed, and then almost instantly started like kind of chopping just for a second and then just going right back up. So I had limit orders set. I set a few limit orders. It chopped around for a second, and then I put in limit orders and got filled. I don't know exactly where in the candle, but I could, show the entry or whatever in the seconds that it was at. And I took that, and the idea was to hold it to the R1 and the 5-minute. I thought it was going to go through R1 and go to the 5-minute 200, but I messed up, and I actually had my 5-minute 200 lined up with on the EMA, not the SMA 200. So it messed up my exit. I actually got out earlier than I wanted to, but I still caught Tesla for about 10 points, somewhere off the 200. But basically what I look for all the time is where you open up in relation to the 21 and the 200. And where did we open up today? Right on top of the 200. So as long as you hold that 200 at the open and you do something like this off of it, I'm going to enter, like I'm watching the tape as it's hitting this, and I'm watching what it does. I'm watching how it moves. As soon as it hits that, and you have an idea that it's holding, I'm not waiting for a buy setup, I'm not waiting for anything, I'm just in it, and my stop is the bottom of that candle, or something crazy to happen. So I just get in it down here. Why? Well, my risk is very little, and my upside is a whole leg up in Tesla. So a 5 to 10 minute run, and this ended up being a 20 plus point if you were better than me and you held it.
And I think also, Gator, what you need to point out is on the chart like we're looking at, the 200 is showing as being way down because it's calculating it from the previous close. But when the pre-market data was on the chart, it moved the 21 up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was all coming right up. And it was all very compressed with the pre-market data on. And Tesla was strong in the pre-market. Like even with the NVIDIA news and everything, Tesla seemed overly strong, and you were gapped up. So you had all that going on, and it just set up nicely at the open. And the trade idea was just a plan to take it and to let it go. And every day when I see this or it coming off of the 21, I look for entries on those levels at the open. Unless we just cut through it and it looks like it's just going down, I just leave it alone. But if it cuts and just sits there, sometimes I lose, but I'm going to be taking a position on those moving averages 90% of the time, unless there are other market forces stopping me. So that was the trade for me. I don't know how you traded that, if you traded that differently, and then I took a few scalps in there. Green takes red, mark 1 here, consolidation, and move up.
So I completely missed that first trade and the first entry. Totally missed it. I don't think I actually got to my computer till 20 seconds or 30 seconds after the market opened, and I don't do limit orders in the morning. I just don't. I just have too much difficulty for me to do limit orders. So I usually, just wait that 2 minutes, and sometimes it's very agonizing to see something go in the direction that you're really anticipating it to going, and you aren't entering it. There's a few times I have tried to do limit orders, but for me, it's just not something I normally do, and maybe I will start to try to do that. So after that initial move, I have to go back to my trade logs to see my first trade was on it, but I did take a couple trades in here as it was going up to the 900 or so level. The issue with that is when I'm buying halfway into the move, I don't have as much confidence to hold it longer, because we could be getting that pullback at some point, and I don't want to wait for in the middle of a pullback to say, oh, okay, now we're retracing 50% of the move, or whatever. So when in my mind, I'm technically chasing it, but I'm not really, because it's still in the active sequence and it's still going up, and it's sort of like a mini Mark 1, but not really. And when there's enough volume and enough push, you can do that. It's like when I know you've talked before about it will have like a slight pause where it'll start to go up and it doesn't really pull back, but that's actually a really bullish sign that it's not pulling back. And you're waiting for that pullback. You want the pullback to give you an entry, and it's just not giving it to you. I will, when it just pauses a little bit and shows it doesn't go down, I will enter with the idea that if this goes down at all, I am just going to exit out of the trade and take a loss. So what it causes me to do, though, is it's already in the middle of the move. I can't take my normal size, so I'm sizing down on it, and I'm ready to just get out of it. So I did that a few times on that initial push, and it also causes me to sell quicker because I have to take my profit because I'm in high. I have a high entry point. So, but I recognize that because, okay, I missed the initial move, so that's the way I can get a little bit of it and not have a whole lot of risk. So that's how I ended up trading that. But the bulk of that move was that I, tried not to get FOMO or that sort of thing. But most of my day, though, however, was made later in the day on the backside of this move on doing puts as Tesla was coming back down.
Nice.
That's where most of my day was made. Right there from, what is that, about 12 o'clock on down. It just kept riding that, I think it's on your chart, the 8 and the 21. It just kept riding that 8 train down.
This is the 1 minute, yeah.
That's a 1 minute?
And then 2 minute, same thing. This is a 2 minute now. We're at a 2 minute.
So that was my day right there from like 1 o'clock. Yeah, like 1 o'clock on down. That was the bulk of my day right there.
So when you're looking, so how did you, so for people who are like, and what you did is incredibly smart and very, something that people have a hard time doing, which is avoiding the FOMO, finding a way to trade it to remain toxic. And it's like, if you miss this, like this was roughly a 20-point move or whatever if you held the whole thing. Some did, some didn't. Who cares? What are you going to do to trade after that? You trade intelligently, and then you actually make your money on this whole, give back, and you had the foresight or the ability to keep a level head and actually do that. What were you doing, like when this started setting up and going down? What were you noticing, and how were you trading it?
Let me get my chart up. I mean, you don't have to share it. Just let me, so I can see.
And then I'll follow along.
Talk intelligently here.
Yeah. Because it's never even tests. This is just like a nice, I assume this is a lot harder to trade than it looks, because this looks just like a slow grind down. But there was some good, sell points and stuff.
Yeah, okay, so basically, our fundamental rules are on the 2 minute when we're trading below that 21, we're doing puts. And then when we bounce up to the 8, we're looking to see if it's going to hold, break above, or come back down. So we're still kind of like in this range, but on a downward trend. So I think I did trade a little bit before that 1 o'clock. I was trading before that, and there was this initial leg down starting at, where did that start at? Around, I think my charts, are these Eastern? Yeah, so 9, that's 10, 11, 12, starting around 12 o'clock. So 12 o'clock is where it really confirmed lower highs prior, and it really confirmed that we broke below VWAP. I normally don't like puts if we're above VWAP, and that's really like for me a key point is that VWAP. So once we're below that VWAP and below the 21, now I'm really interested in puts to the put side. So that's where, because I did try a few puts earlier, but the problem with it, when it's above VWAP, it's too, the dip gets bought too often. It's like, okay, it's going to go down, but it comes down, and then it just like, they buy the dip and it snaps back up on you. And then you don't have the confidence to hold through that initial, when they buy the dip, because you're still like, hey, Tesla could run another 20 points, so I'm taking too many front run losses, with that. So when it really like shifts that, where it you can just see it in the chimes and sales or level 2 where it shifts. It just like shifts modes. It's in
Yep.
this, I buy the dip, I'm going up mode, versus when I pop up, I get sold off. So it's sort of that shift you have to recognize, and it's not like easy. I mean, on the chart, I see it, outside of watching the tape, when the price is below the VWAP and we're below that 21. And then every time we start to come up to that area, we get pushed back down.
Mm-hmm.
So then we came down, let's see, around 1235, 1238. It kind of formed a bottom, tried to go back up, could not get above VWAP again. And then that's when I started continuing after we got back below the 21, of shorting this. And then we got below the 200 moving average. And it was just this grind down, just a slow grind down. And it's just like every time it would come up, and I was scalping this. I wasn't holding for this whole move. I was just like, every candle it would come down, I'm just selling and taking my profit. And then it goes, I'm not holding, I'm not catching all of this. I'm just taking the money, basically.
So you're identifying when something's happening. So looking at this, it's like, oh, if Geronimo talks about, and we've talked about, and this is how, in my mind, I've grown as a trader, is I'm looking at this and I'm saying, okay, so what do I notice if I look left on a chart? We had a big run up off the 200. We pulled in, hit VWAP, put a little bit of a high in, and now we put in a lower high, and now we put in a lower high. So if now it's 12 o'clock, like Rose is saying, and I'm like, okay, well, where are we at? Well, we just put in, lower high, lower high, lower high. We're breaking below the 21. All right, so we're in a clear downward trend. We're below the 21. We're below VWAP. We're starting to, we gave up R1. We're obviously not pushing higher. All right, so now, we're making this move down. You can identify whether it's on an 8 or on a 21 when it tests, or something like, where's my abilities to take a quick little scalp. And you don't have to hold the whole thing, like Rose is saying. It's like, oh, well, we failed. We went below the 21. We came up. We failed. Let's see what happens when we flag out and hit the 8. Oh, we hit the 8. We're starting to go down. Oh, let's take a short here. And you could take one off the 8 and make a little bit of money. And then you could wait, and you could wait for it to come back, and maybe take a little loss there, or you take a little bit of a quick win because you're not holding, then you hit the 21, maybe you take another one. I mean, or you could do it even candle by candle, off the 1 minute if you really wanted to. I assume is kind of what you're...
The real test today was it when it retested VWAP after it broke below, and then, well, like the major break below, not the first break below. And then we came back up, and it was, what is that, 10, 14, 11, 12, like 114 area. We come back up, and we can't get above. And that was like test it really had to do to say, okay, are we going to go back up and test day highs, or are we going to, or is this move, this high, we're going to continue to fade this. That was this initial short covering in there. I may have even done some longs in there, I don't remember. But then it just could not get above, and then I was surprised actually how much it did pull back, considering how strong it was in the morning. So
that's the 50%. The VWAP there is a 50% retracement of the entire down move that had happened up to that point.
And if you fib, so let me go ahead and fib this move here. Now, if you're fibbing this move, you're doing the low of the open versus the high. Is that correct?
For like at the beginning of the day?
You're not doing the previous close. You're doing the low in the first 1 minute of the market to the high that we had.
Generally I do, but you could do the first. Kelly does the 200 early on. I do the same thing, but then once we go, I would go to the first, like the pullback. So this would be the move for me right here. This is what I have, the high of the first, what you're saying. So if I was drawing this most days, I would have it drawn like this. The bottom of the first candle, the bottom of that move to the top of that first leg, 950 basically, and that would be a rough, you know, that would be a rough one for me right there. Fib.
Is that's normally how I draw it. So you're saying you can also draw it from the 2-minute 200 to like the top of the leg, or
at the open, Kelly uses the 2-minute 200 as his like starting point. If you were to go back
so
and watch
he would
that
be fitting
video,
the gap, like how much it's gapped up from the 200 to the opening price.
yeah, I believe so. I'd have to I need to go back and look. So he would do, I think, this.
Market highs.
He would do this. So Kelly's fib would have been, from my understanding or my remembrance, you could take the pre-market or the close yesterday to that first R1, and then you'll get your second leg there. So that first pullback candle, which is 911, right at R1, and you'll get your 127 fib from there. So usually if it's gapped up enough to be a leg, I will draw a fib from that first leg to the first pullback candle, or and then from there I can go from there. If it's a little bit tighter, then I just do the first leg, and this gap up counts as one leg. If that makes sense.
Yes.
Hey, what up, Robert? Same as you, Marco. What's up, guys? Also, I'm not looking at chat right away. I've got to pull it up. So Rose and I are kind of just talking through the Tesla chart. And the thing that I've kind of noticed about fibs is I have to kind of do it and practice enough to where I do something that like I like and something that I trust, because you can draw the lines in different places and you'll see like, oh, it worked here, oh, it didn't work here. And then what I do is I start just taking notes at the end of the day, and I try to determine where the right place to draw it was. And you can go back and watch the video with Kelly, and he talks about how he does it, and I try to do the same thing. But then if you're like, oh, should I have done this, or should I have done this, or should I have done, like, practice doing it. I'm not telling you there's one exact way to do it. Generally speaking, what I do is if once this happened, like this leg here, I would draw this fib that I showed earlier, and then that would be it. And then I would be having a target of 1870, and that's my target. So that's how I usually draw it. I see a clear leg like this, and then digestion, and that's my level. But if you do it like we were just talking about, which is the close of yesterday to 10 minutes into the market, you'll see it hit perfectly the 909.71 and then pulled back in, which this is what Kelly did. This was his today. And he said 5 minutes in, or 10 minutes in, is his first leg. So he said your first leg's done, 10 minutes in, and he put one up here, and then he drew this, and this was his target for his first one, I believe, and then, or the 5-minute 200 was, and then that perfectly hit this line and came down and went up. So I thought it was a little bit harder to fib today, personally, because I drew this one and I had this target, and I took money at 210 when it hit here. I think we called that one out, and then it just never kind of hit target, came back down, tested the 21. Once it tested the 21, it didn't go higher, and this was a short. I think I went over and shorted Meta, and I played Meta, which actually worked really well. While we're kind of talking about fibs, do y'all have questions and thoughts about it from the audience and stuff too, by the way? And I'll go this meta fib that I waited for. I missed the first one because I was doing something else. But here's a way that you guys can do this if you miss the original play. See, here's your clear leg down. You broke the 21. You came back up and tested the 21. You flushed here. Your sell point is the 100%. So you have your entry. And I think someone asked me about this, and I said, yeah, I would take it. But I was doing something in Tesla. And you sell here, and then you hold some for profit, or you can sell all of it and wait for it to pop back up, because usually it will, especially Meta. And it drops a little bit more. It comes back up and tests the 21. We're still in this downtrend to the 127 target. Like, this trade hasn't failed. So for me, you come back up to the 21. This is actually a re-entry short, or an opportunity for you to get back in. If you miss this play and you're like, man, it's down here and I missed it, wait for it to hit the 100%, wait for it to come back up and set in another sell setup, and then you can join the trade for the trip to the 127. That's how I played Meta, and that's how I used the fibs to help me create an idea for a trade, and to help me identify where I'm at and where good buy points and sell points are. And I think they are precise and they're great to use as Kelly uses them, and I love using them that way, and they help me make a lot of trades. And this actually would be one of those things too, but for the person who's practicing and learning to do them, if you're drawing them and they're giving you an idea of where a move is at and where it could be at and where it's pulling back at and where entry points are, like this right here is just an easy way to be like, oh hey, look, this is a possible entry point on a short, the 161. Oh, if it pops up to the 50%, that's also the next good entry point. So let's see what happens in the 21, and you start kind of putting this stuff together, and it helps you find entry points. If you miss a trade and it's down here and you're like, man, I wish I would have got Meta off the 21, but I can't buy it now because it's near, it's near the 100%. It could pop, who knows what's going to happen. I'm just going to wait. You still know this is the target. So if Meta does something like this, or Tesla or any other name, and it goes back up into a moving average, then you're like, oh wait, is the put play still in play? Yes, the put play is still in play. And then you can actually find, an entry to get you to the target, which this target didn't change. It's still the same target. Do y'all kind of get what I'm saying on how I use fib retracements to locate trades even if I miss the original entry, and where they could kind of be going? Do you do stuff like, did you do that with Tesla this afternoon, or?
I did the moving averages, and to be honest, I did not do the fibs on this afternoon because I really didn't feel, like those levels, after the move, it really could pretty much, I could have done them, but I wasn't trading off of them. I didn't want to, I just wanted to trade the price action I saw in front of me and not be overthinking it, like saying, okay, we're at this level here, so now we're going to go up, or if we break this level, then we're going to go down. For me, it was more this afternoon, because of it gets slower, of just watching the price action and the moving averages. The moving averages were just totally key, very key. So I didn't really want to actually look at the fibs, but on Friday when we were doing the fibs, they were perfect. I loved having the fibs on there. So I think sometimes they can overcomplicate things, but other times I think they're an extremely valuable tool that you definitely want to use. And I like to have 2 or 3 charts open with the fib lines. One fib the whole move for the whole leg, and then there's another leg within that leg to fib that one separately to get more of these more smaller movement levels when you're just more, not for the bigger moves. So I have both still fibbed that I'm looking at.
So you like to use them sometimes, kind of help. But yeah, I know what you mean. Sometimes if you just start drawing them all over the place and you don't have clear legs, or clear oh, should I do it here, you can start second, triple guessing, and it can get really it can become too much. You can definitely do a little bit too much with them, and I think keeping them simple is probably the easiest thing to do. And sometimes it is easier drawing them after the fact. It obviously
and I think
is.
in the morning when there's that first leg, or the stock's having a breaking out from on a daily chart from consolidation, and it looks like we could have a big 2-3 day move, and you have that first initial move, and there's gonna where the days where it's gonna just, sometimes it just runs all day. When it's doing those multiple leg moves, here's leg 1, here's legs 2, here's leg 3, that's where fibs really come in handy because it'll hit these extension levels and then that's where it retraces. And then we'll have a retracement to a fib level, and then that's the start of the second leg. And those are really, fibs really come in on helping you visualize what the measured move is going to be and where those possible turnarounds are going to be.
Yeah, I found a lot of use of them. I really enjoy how they almost, they can give you that partial kind of allow you to predict, if it were, where things are going and what the targets are. And it's so much fun if you have a level like that and it just hits. And I'll throw this chart off really quick and just put us back on. And let me get this out of here. There you go. I don't know. For me, I have found them helpful, like you say, but especially later days, sometimes in the afternoon, if you don't know exactly where you're at and stuff, they can become a little bit complicated. Did you find it when you're trading those moving averages and stuff? For me, it's always been something that's hard to teach because it's such like a visual. You have to do it and just get so used to reading the tape and taking size to where you're not going to get hurt and kind of get comfortable with the tape reading and the almost it's like you just have to have the plan like, hey, I'm going to buy it when this happens, and just kind of be in the flow and in the groove to trade it, and just like, oh, right, we hit the moving average, I'm going to take it. We hit the moving average, I'm going to take it. And it's just like that consistent, like doing it every time. How's your mindset in that?
You know what it was more for me today? Was the Qs and Tesla's relative weakness to the Qs. So sometimes Tesla, the Qs go up and Tesla just explodes. It's got a lot of relative strength. This afternoon, it was the opposite. So the Qs would be pushing up and they would be, trying to go up, and Tesla could just like barely get any energy to go anywhere. It would start to go up a little bit, but and you knew as soon as these Qs start to pull down, Tesla is going to drop. And the Qs would just like literally stop going up and just come down a little tiny bit, and Tesla's dropping $1, dropping a point and a half. So it was so relatively weak to the Qs. And that, for me, really just gave me the confidence to take those trades. Whereas before, if it's tracking back or if it's strong to the Qs, that's your edge. That's your edge. So there were so many times where the Qs were either above a moving average or they were breaking higher, and Tesla just couldn't go. It was just like just being dragged down. Just couldn't go, like a wet blanket was on its mojo. So that's just how do you teach that? You just like watching, just be really observant of watching the difference in how a stock trades. So I'm always looking at the Qs to whatever else I'm trading. So if I'm trading Amazon, I'm looking at the Qs. If I'm trading any other stock, I'm always looking at it towards the Qs. I'm looking to see how does it follow? Does it react? Is it relatively strong or relatively weak? So I'm not really trying to predict the Qs. I'm using those as my baseline barometer, my baseline. And like I think it was on Friday, Tesla was super bullish. The Qs, they just go up a little bit and then Tesla explodes. So that is so key in reading the relative strength or weakness to, I guess, not just the overall market, but to the NASDAQ or the the tech sector. So if it didn't have that today and it wasn't showing that weakness, it would have been a lot harder.
Yeah, it would have. You seem to be very good, and it's almost like a strategy or a characteristic of your trading. That's something you look for whenever you're going to different names. It's like early on, you do trade early and you're going. But then if you're staying through the afternoon or a little bit later, you like to look for that relative strength or weakness. And then if the market gives you the opportunity to play that, like something in Tesla where it's just not breaking out, it's just not like when the Qs were running up earlier, Tesla should have been hitting that like 127 higher. It should have went to 922. you know, it didn't go to 918, it didn't go to 922. So you kind of see that weakness setting in. You do a really good job of just being like, you know what, this chart's going in this direction. I can tell it's weak compared to the market. I'm going to wait. The market starts going in the direction that that stock is going, and then you just play it really well to that
And then
upside downside.
yeah, and then if you're timing that off of, you know, one of the moving average strategies, or you know, something it's failing to break out or falling back below, then it just gives you that confidence to take that trade. And it's just, you need an edge in whatever you're doing. So you have your setups, you have tools and all that, but you need a little bit of an edge to give you the upper hand versus, if you think of it like the casino, you know, the house has with the options, the market maker, they have the spread. So that's their house cut, you know, they get the spread. So you need a little something to counter the edge that the house has. And whatever that is, and if you can find that consistently that gives you that little edge, you know, that's something you can then capitalize on. And I think also what's really important is kind of getting an idea of what you're looking for. Like, what do I want to see in this chart? What is the setup I'm looking for? I'm looking for a failed this, or I'm looking for a breakout here, or I'm looking for, always have in your mind, like, what is it I want to see? What do I want to see?
Yeah, and that's something that we do differently, but we do the same. And for those of you watching who, you know, you're like, oh, I can't do this, or I can't do this, or, you know, Rose and I are not the exact same trader. Like, we're trading the same names often, but sometimes we're doing different things, or we're looking for different things. Because you're, like you're saying, like doing some of the lesser scalps, you're still looking for your entry and what you want to see, and you're taking a scalp, and you're doing it to this point, but, you know, you might not be using the fib target, but you still have a target. You still have something you're trying to do before you get in. You're waiting for a failed 21, or you're waiting for this, or you're waiting for that. I'm doing the same thing. Like, Meta, for instance, today when we looked at that chart, it's like I missed the original trade because I think I was shorting Tesla, or going long Tesla, or waiting for Tesla to set up or something. I was like, oh, I missed it. Okay, well, I do want to short it now. What do I need to wait for? All right, I had my fib line. I'm going through this. I'm using the fib to give myself an idea of what I want. And I'm like, okay, I now have my idea of what I want and what I'm looking for. And then from there, I create a trade idea, and how I'm going to trade it. You're doing the same thing, and you're not wrong, and I'm not wrong. We're both trading and getting an advantage for ourselves against the house. And for those of you looking for trade strategies or trade ideas or what you're going to do, I think you've got to find what works for you, and not try to push yourself too quickly out of, like, you do have to push yourself through your comfort zone, but you kind of need to develop, like, you know, what you can do and where you're at.
And I know Tesla's going to do this stock split. What is it, August 25th?
Yeah.
So I seem to do best just having a few stocks that I trade regularly. And I really enjoyed trading Amazon paired with the Qs, because that it just tracked the Qs really well. And after the stock split, I found it trades differently. It still does track, but it doesn't trade for me in the way I was doing it, where you can just, you know, you have to take more size. It changes a lot. It changes a lot. So I had to switch from basically my Tesla baby and my Amazon baby to Tesla, and Tesla's now kind of my primary focus. Sometimes Tesla's just not behaving, and you don't want to trade it, and you really do need to look for something else. But it's kind of been my main stock that I trade. So how is this split going to affect the way it trades? So with Amazon, I was very concerned with some of, you know, I shouldn't say very concerned. I had questions about, okay, now what am I going to do? You know, because I had learned something that I really felt confident and knew how to do. So in some ways, so Tesla trades so differently, absolutely so differently, that you cannot do any Amazon strategy with Tesla. It will just eat you alive if you try to trade Tesla like you trade Amazon. Just totally different. So it took me a while to really get great, to really adjust, basically, to really adjust. And so when the stock split occurs, I think that's just what it's going to be, an adjustment. And whether that is taking a little more size, or whether we have to hold a little longer, or trade for not so many scalps but more key levels. But that's what we do as traders. We adapt to changing. The market's never the same every day, so we do it anyway. When there's choppy days, there's bullish days, there's days it just sells off. Every one of those days, you have to trade differently, and you're not trading the same as you did last week or the week before. So that's naturally built in to this job. So we have to have that fortitude to adapt to what we see in front of us. And how that's going to look like, I don't know, but I'm sure we'll be able to figure it out.
Yeah, I don't know what it's going to look like. I assume it's going to trade similar to what kind of meta trades like, but probably a little bit more aggressive, because it was more of like a popular name with a lot more people trade it. So I would imagine it'd be similar to meta, but maybe slightly more aggressive would be my guess. I could be wrong, but I'm not. So for you, you had to make a change when you did it, with going from being like Amazon queen, just like hitting that was that was what you did, that was your baby, and now you say, okay, Tesla's my baby. No, Tesla's growing up or shrinking, whatever, and now it's messing with you. So mentally you've had to go through this, and we're all going to have to go through it. But what are some things that you did? Was it just like, hey, I just have to do this, like suck it up and make the trade? Or was it like, hey, is there something that you've done mentally to help yourself, that you think can help other people kind of handle the transition that Tesla's going to go through, and it's going to force, so you're not going to get a 10-point move in 5 minutes, 30 minutes. It's just not going to happen now. So sorry, you've got to adapt.
Sized way down. I was doing 1 to 2 contracts, sized way down, so I could get myself really consistent with it, and really just focused on it mainly, and really just gave myself room to learn it, to learn how this thing trades, because my timing was way off with Tesla. It was it seemed like every time I was entering, it would drop. So my timing was off, and I would see other traders making a lot of money with it, and this, I'm like, what am I doing wrong? How can what seems like everybody, but people doing really well with it, and here Tesla ran 100 points and I'm down for the day. What happened? How does that happen? But I have had that happen. Tesla literally has run 100 points and I'm red for the day. And you look at that, you look like, how does this happen? So
this is like what? It's like, I traded this name too.
How does this happen? So first thing, giving yourself the room and the space to to say, okay, I have to adjust and learn this, so I'm not expecting results right away. I gave myself like a month, and it took me close to a month to really feel like I knew what I was doing with it, and to really feel like I could get the timing down. And there's still times Tesla will throw you for a loop, and you're like, yeah. Tesla, that's just kind of how it trades sometimes, and you can't get there's more where Tesla can be mean. I'll just put it that way. It can be mean. So it can pay you nicely, it can reward you, but there's also going to be times it's just going to be mean. So you just take the bad with the good, because sometimes it's not even your fault. It's like, I didn't do anything wrong. I did all the rules correctly. I entered correctly, and damn, it caught me for 2 points. It's just like that's just Tesla. You can't improve on that. That's just what it does sometimes.
Yep.
That happened today to me too. And it got me really good. I was like, ah, Tesla. But so if you factor that in, then yeah, that's it's just I think just give yourself the time and size down and try to have micro goals, and then naturally when those micro goals you're meeting them, you're like, oh, okay, I can kind of get this,
Hmm.
and then you just improve from there. And really keep a lot of notes and journal, just like really journal every day, journal what worked, what didn't work. You have an insight, I'm timing it. I'm late on my timing because I'm buying it at the trigger, and I need to wait for that pullback after the trigger and not be afraid of missing the breakout, because this is what Tesla does. Tesla always, not always, but
Hmm.
will give you that entry, and then there's like what you were teaching, the shakeout hammer. So Tesla's going up, and you can just see it. It's all set up. It is going up, and you get on it, and then boom, it spikes down. It spikes down a point and a half, 2 points. Like, oh, there's the shakeout hammer.
Yep.
So you either wait for the shakeout hammer to enter, which I know you do a lot, or you try to hold through the shakeout hammer, which I've got burned on before,
Hmm.
or you then, if you did get shook out, you then have to re-enter, and then a lot of times you're entering higher, or you try to anticipate the shakeout hammer and then you just buy there. Or what I've been doing is scaling in on my entry. So I want a certain size, but I'm like, okay, it could go now, or we could get a pullback to here, so I'm going to buy a quarter size here. And if we get that pullback, then I'm going to add, I'm going to, now I'll be at half size. And then if we actually start to break out, I'm going to add my other half. And now I got my full size position. And I do that a lot with Tesla. And that helps me get that, my first entry, I'm up on it, half a point or so. So I'm like, those contracts are good. Or even more than that. I'm like, those contracts are good. So now I add more contracts to it. And so these contracts, like, okay, if it starts to, I'm in at a higher price, if it starts to do something I don't like, I'm going to sell these first. And then I can get the other ones out at break even, or I can hold them, or I can add back at a lower price.
Hmm.
So that is one thing I do with Tesla, is I scale a lot of my entries.
Nice. Which is a good way to do it, and I've known, or I don't know, but I've seen a lot of people that do that. People talk about scaling and entering portion. Like, hey, I like the two. Like, if you know you want to take, I don't know, we'd say like 4 contracts in Tesla total, and that's your size, and you're like, I get shaken out, and I take all 4 of them on like the one and done. Robert saying the one and done, shook you out. It could have shaken me out too. You take one of your 4 contracts at that one and done, and you say, hey, this could run, this could not run, but you know what? There's a good chance that it rips down and it chops around. I'm going to take one at the one and done, so I'm in at the trigger, and then if that bottom of that one and done holds up, or the bottom of the day candle holds up, I'm going to add another one. So now I'm in 2 positions. And then if we get a green takes right on the 2-minute or a moving average test before we like rip up and everyone's like, okay, it hit target, I'm going to add a 3rd contract, or all of my contracts there. And that is a way to possibly, Robert, I'm not telling you what to do or anybody else what to do, that might be a way, if you get shaken out of Tesla, to do what Rose is doing, and kind of like structure that. If you understand how a name moves, you can be like, well, I have one of my contracts left, I'm going to wait for a shakeout hammer, and if not, then I'm cool with making my money on 3 contracts. I'll add my 4th on a shakeout.
It really helps, because if you are, let's say, at half size and you end up selling at a loss or a front run loss, and okay, you took a loss at a quarter or half size, but then when you gain and you're at full size and then it goes, you're going to make 3-4 times as much than as when you're taking these little losses with a quarter and half size. So when I'm taking losses at half size, I'm like, okay, that's okay, and I can take 2, 3, 4 of those losses. But when I got my full size and it finally goes, now I'm really getting paid. So it really helps with, whereas I'm taking the same size every time, then I'm just lucky if I can make back, if I take a couple frontline losses, what I lost by taking my full size. So
especially early. Like in
yeah,
Tesla,
yeah,
early you're going to lose 3 points, 2 points if you're wrong, easy. And losing that on if you're a 10 contract trader, 5 contracts is not as bad, or even 2 to 3 contracts if you're quartering into your 10 is not as bad as losing that on a point twice. Like you could lose 4 times in Tesla going quarter or half size to 5 times early and make it all back in one trade once it gets good, or you can size up, lose 4 to 5, and be done for the day and be toxic because you're down 7 grand if you're a 10 contract trader.
yeah. And now that we're talking about it and I'm reflecting on it, I can really see I was sort of just doing this naturally. The edge it gives you when if you're trying to catch a breakout, okay, and it goes, and I only got 2 contracts. Okay, I made money on 2 contracts. Because that was like, if that's your quarter entry size or half your entry size, that's okay. I made some money. I didn't have my full size, but I caught a move there. Or maybe if I start with that and I can see that it's really confirming it's going to go, I'll add another, I'll double the size or play around with that. But if you taking your full size right in the morning when it's really volatile, and you take like you're saying, it's one, you're lucky if it's a 1 point loss, it's 2-3 points.
I'm like, whew, I only lost 1 point. I'm happy.
Yeah, now you feel like you have to stay at that full size to make that money back. And you don't want, or you have to even increase your size psychologically, which you're not supposed to do, to try to make that money back. But if you're trading at a quarter size or even smaller in the morning, and I often do this, I'll trade really small in the morning, and I'm like, okay, I can handle that. I can handle that loss because I know with my full size, I catch one move, I'm making that money back really fast, so if I keep so in the morning, I like to go really small, and depending on what I see, if I'm really confident, I'll take more size definitely, or I'll add to it, or especially if I get a couple small, some gains in, so now I'm up some money, then like, okay, and I increase my size, I got a little cushion because I'm already up some money. That is really important, to keep your losses, especially in the morning, small. If you just and yeah, sometimes you miss those big home runs, but I don't know. I mean, for me, it's about the overall picture, and there's always going to be moves. You don't have to catch the big move. You don't have to. Or you just get a part of it. A little piece of it is plenty.
Take your piece of the pie and
yeah,
be happy with it. Anya asks, and I think that's a thing into, do you no, actually the other ones, but do you scalp, or are you mixing in some longer holds?
It really depends. I am doing a few longer holds, but like what's considered a scalp anymore? I mean, I'm not doing the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, sometimes 10 seconds, but usually longer than that. It's all about like how long does it take to do the move. It's really more not so much the time, but what I see it doing on the chart. If it takes a little longer to break down, or it's starting to break down, and then it's and it's just not holding, and I'm holding longer. I am definitely holding longer than I used to. Like today on many of the short trades, when it was breaking these key levels, I'm like, I'm not selling this. We broke in. Sometimes especially if it's the second or third time, it's at that level, and I'm like, you just know when this this thing's going down another point, 2 points, 3 points. So, and I'm just watching like, the tape and the cues, and if the cues are flushing at the same time, they're still dropping. Now, there is a certain point where I feel like if it drops a certain percentage, and I'm not calculating what is this percentage in my head. So if we're at, let's say Tesla's at, okay, let me bring my chart up here. Let's say Tesla is at let's say we're at $895, which we were at 133 in the afternoon. We're at 895. We drop down to 891. Okay, that's 4-point drop. I expect on general, actually it came a little lower. We went down to 890, so about a 5-point drop. 5-point drop. I expect after a 5-point drop, Tesla to have a rebound. So I'm not gonna, when I see, okay, after 2, 3, 4 points, and we rebounded, so I just have in my head, especially what time of the day it is and what levels we're at, if we drop 4 points, 5 points, I'm not thinking about the time, how long have I been holding the trade. I'm thinking we just dropped 4 points. I'm taking my money because this thing could at least retrace 2 of those points or 3 of those points or all of it, and I want my money. So it's more, I look at how much it moves down and the levels it moves, because I know the more you drop down, the more likely you are to spring back, because people, psychology, because if other people are shorting this, they're going to take profit. They're going to start short covering. So I want to try to short cover. I want to get out of my position before they start short covering. And if I have a half size or full size position, when it first starts to drop, or breaks a key level, I'll sell a quarter of it just to lock that in, and I'll be holding the rest. And then often by the time I sell half of it, I'm selling the other half at the same price. Usually the second half, I'm not making more on it. Sometimes I do, but usually I end up selling that where I sold the first half. And oftentimes I'll even sell it less than where I sold the first half, because it's already on the rebound stage. Mm-hmm. I don't hold through that rebound. I'm getting out of it.
Yeah. And if you do, and y'all remember today, so, and this kind of Anya asked, and then you can do the Amazon one, but you asked about how I quote unquote predict Tesla and call it and trade it. Well, I'm wrong sometimes too, and I'll show you one of the ones I was wrong today. So I had the entry on Tesla at the morning off of here, and and y'all heard that and blah blah blah. But then I got in Tesla again down here. Wait, where did I don't remember where I got in Tesla at. Here, let's say it's here off the 21. I think this was the trade. Probably was. Could have been a different one. Could have been this one. I think it was here. We're going to say it was here because for the sake of this would work too. So I had done this fib line. Here's how I quote unquote predict. There's your first leg. So you're like, how do you predict where Tesla's going to go? Well, we opened up, gap up right above the 200, pulled into the 200 and bounced. All right, so where were we at yesterday? Well, if you were zoomed out on your chart pre-market and you looked at your levels, well, R1 is right in here, so we're at least going up to R1, which actually fairly timed up with the 5-minute 200, both the SMA and the EMA, but EMA was like right here. But you had your you had your R1, that $900 level, so you're off the 200. Your next, this is just a move, so your next what's the word I'm looking for, natural resistance zone is going to be around that $900 level. So even if I don't have a larger level, my level is at least R1, because you're ripping up off of the 200. If you break out and you put in a bull move, where are you naturally going to go? Where you're going to go to about 900, or in this case the 5-minute 200, which was right here, and there's your target. So your target was basically 905, a little bit less, at the time of the day. So there's just that natural, like, hey, this is where I think it's going to go, because we're igniting off the 200. We're going to put in a bull leg. After we went down yesterday, where are the sellers at? Where's your supply and demand zone? Your supply and demand zone is right around 904, right around 904 to 910 or so. That's where your next kind of demand zone's at. And then if you clear that, you have room to $22, $20 down here, area. If you look here, look at all this demand up here, like your all this consolidation. So you have this zone from about $20 to $28. So we probably get somewhere in the middle of that before we get smacked down again, or towards the bottom of it. So it's just looking left on your chart and seeing, okay, what's happening in the market right now. Qs are rallying, like, yeah, this negative NVIDIA stuff came out, or market stuff, doesn't matter, we're still going up. We bounced off the 200. All right, what am I looking at? All right, this is what I'm looking at to this area. And it's just looking left on the chart like, oh, this is just some slow selling. We're going to cut through all this when we come back, and we're coming to this demand zone. All right, now we look at when I was wrong today. We pulled down, so I fibbed this line. It's like, okay, we pulled in. We pretty much hit this 38% retracement at 61. These are inverted. And we hit this retracement, which was VWAP, bounced up. This is fine, kind of consolidated and flagged right near the 21. We got in it, we went higher. I think we caught some of this move. All right, we pull back down. That's fine. This is still just like earlier today I said Meta. This was a re-entry for Meta. Okay, look at the difference in this and Meta. We're going to go to the Meta chart. You know, you had this. It hit the 100%. So, hey, look, this is one trade. You get out some here. Maybe you do whatever you want with yourself here. But if you hold this, you come back in here. Like I said in Meta, you know, here's your next entry. We're into the 21. All right, we pop up. I was on the mic saying I'm in this right here, guys, and it was somewhere down here. I was 3 or 4 points up in this trade, like cash with 10 contracts. So I was 3 or 4 grand up in this trade. Yeah.
Peter, I know you can't read the chat, but we can only see half of your chart.
Oh, sorry, guys. Sorry. Oh, wait, I forgot to move over. Sorry, guys. My bad. Sorry. So, let me throw this. I just did that whole thing without you guys seeing the chart. Sorry. Basically everything I said, there's your demand zone, your supply zone. And then, you know, here's the move where we got back in on Tesla. Here's where we pulled down. Just like in Meta, that re-entry. Here's your re-entry here in Tesla. And then the target was like, hey, I'm 3 or 4 points up in this trade at this point. And I said, I'm not selling. I'm looking, you know, for a pop to this 127 of 918, and that's my target. So I did not sell off of this entry here because we also didn't even hit, you know, anything else. I'm like, I'm just going to hold them. I could have sold, I didn't. And instead I ended up breaking even on the trade. And then I think I got in it here again on the 8, and then it went down and I lost like 20 cents on it or something like that. So I think I made 20, 30 cents here and lost 20, 30 cents here. That's part of the game. And I forget the original whatever, but that's part of the game when you're doing these longer holds. And some of these trades, like Rose is saying, sometimes she holds, sometimes she takes her money. She's 3 or 4 points up in this. She's probably not holding for this, at least not all of it. And you're not wrong to do that. My trade idea, quote unquote, which was what I just explained with what I was looking for. It's like, okay, we are up here at the top of this zone. We have a little bit of a gap. And I think we can get to $22, or at minimum you can see the 127.18 where this demand zone is at. I think we can at least get to there. So if we're going to get to this location, all right, so I got an entry off the 21. There's my entry. There's, you know, my target. This is a 10-point trade probably in Tesla options. It didn't happen and I broke even. That's okay. I'm like, all right, I don't care. Didn't work. I'm done with Tesla, or I'm going to short it, or whatever it is. Maybe we're just going to consolidate and go later in the day. I don't know what else is setting up. Let's go over to Meta. What happened in Meta? We fibbed this earlier. I missed this first trade, which somebody asked if they would short this. I said if I would. I said yes. And what did I draw this earlier? I don't remember. I think it was this one. And yeah, there was your first one. I missed this. Pops back up, hits the 20 again. I take this one after that Tesla, and now you hit your 127, and then I think I got out of it, and then there's your 161. I think that was the trade. So, you know, in Tesla, the first time I missed, you know, I caught the first one, and you can see like Tesla would have flipped this and pretend it was Tesla. It could have just done this and failed, or whatever it was. This time it didn't. It went to target. So I had a trade with a target, with an idea, with a level, and you know, and then you have this 171 and all these other levels. But to kind of answer Anya's question, like how do I quote unquote know, and I'm doing the exclamation point, or being able to predict the levels, it's really just looking back and seeing what happened last. And like a probability generator of, okay, tell the story of the chart. This happened yesterday. All right, we come in today, we gap up off the 21, we're really bullish, we're coming in, we're consolidating. So like when we're right here on the day, or right here on the day, I stop myself, I slow down, and I say, all right, what's happening? Where are we at? What could happen? What's the story that this charts are telling? A 5-minute chart, 2-minute chart, 15-minute. Where are we at? All right, this is what we're doing. This is the trade idea. All right, I missed this entry, or I got this, or whatever happened. I sold some here. All right, we're coming back into the 21. All right, this is what's happening. Now, maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong, but that's the trade and the idea. Why do I have the target up here? Well, this also is your, whatever it is on the day, your daily $40 move, basically, or whatever it is. So you've got room to this area naturally just on your ATR. Your 18 is that level, the 818 is that. So you put all those things together, and sorry for not changing the chart earlier. Hopefully it doesn't mess up, whatever. But you put all that together and you develop the idea of where it could go, and then sometimes you're right because it makes sense. The story in the trade makes sense. I hope what I'm saying now makes sense. It might not. It might be the ramblings of a fool. But all that stuff kind of puts together to be like, okay, this is the trade idea. So when you all ask me something like this, or I do the pre-market show, I put that together.
Peter, when you were doing that long there that failed, I remember wanting to go shorts at that time.
Mm-hmm.
You were going calls, and I think I even did do a few shorts. And that was
nice.
simply based off of the price action in the level 2.
Mm-hmm. I wasn't far from you watching that level 2. It was really hard for me to hold through this, to be honest with you. I wanted to sell so bad when I was 2 or 3 points up there. You were probably like, he's about to lose.
I hate going against the Tesla whisperer.
You're right, though. I mean, if you look at it, you didn't break through the zone, and Tesla still looks weak, and I still think it hits 840 soon.
Oh.
But no, I mean, so, and even Rose being able to see that, like, that was my trade idea, and she saw something else. And obviously she was right and I was wrong there. And you start watching the level 2, and, there's nothing wrong with being like, I think my trade idea is wrong. I don't like this. Like, and if I would have sold up here, I wouldn't have been wrong because I saw something that changed my mind. As long as if it did this and it dropped down and then it ripped up, if I would have gotten mad at that, then I'm wrong for selling. You have to be happy. And happy might not be the right word, but would satisfied be the right word in your trade and what you're doing?
No, we're just here to skim a little bit of the cream. You can't get the whole milkshake. Just a little bit of the cream is fine.
Mm-hmm. And that's all you got to do. And if you start doing that, and that's why I'm not to get before. I think there's Anya's question about trading Amazon, but before the Tesla split, I'm not afraid of the Tesla split because you know what I'm going to do? Same thing I'm doing now. It's like I'm going to go to the charts like Tesla when it splits, and I'm going to use the same strategies that I'm using now. I'm going to do the same thing with Amazon. I trade Amazon sometimes. I don't know if you do. Still, if you say you don't like it as much, I don't like it as much now either, but I still use it as a vehicle for trading. But usually it's good when Tesla's good, and I like Tesla more. So I usually stick with Tesla.
For me, I look at, like, what am I going to make the most money on? I could trade Amazon, and I could make money with it. But if I'm going to make more money trading Tesla, that's going to be my focus. So there's many times I could trade Amazon, but I'm looking at, okay, if I catch a move on Amazon, I'm going to make, okay, $100 or $200, whereas Tesla, I might make $600. So I'm going to go where I'm going to get paid the most. So that's just, I'm just not, $100 is good. I'm not saying nothing wrong with making $100, but I'm just looking at where am I going to get paid the most?
Yeah.
And so far that's been with Tesla. So normally I haven't really been trading Amazon that much. I could, and I could make money with it probably still, but my focus is Tesla because it's what's paying me.
Yeah, we're like contractors. It's like if you got 2 people offering you money, It's like, well, that person's doing this, and like I can make that in 10 minutes, and I can do the same in Amazon, but I got to wait 30 minutes. So I'm going to go do the 10-minute job that pays me the same amount of money.
Exactly. Exactly.
That's how I look at it too. And it's like, if Tesla's bad, I'm like, okay, what other charts do I have? It's like, oh, Amazon, I remember you.
And I'm the type of trader where I can't be in two positions at the same time. I've tried it a few times, and I'm so distracted, and I'm so like looking at this one and looking at that one, and I can't be in two positions at the same time unless I'm doing some really crazy long-term hold for an hour type thing, but that's just not what I do. So my focus, and if I'm trading Amazon and then I see Tesla over there and I'm missing these setups and trades on Tesla, I'm just like, I'm like dying, because I'm like, because I'm in this Amazon trade, and I'll just sell the Amazon so you can go buy Tesla. So it's not, for me, I just focus on what, I'm trading for that time. And, and other times Tesla is just not, it's choppy, or it's just not trading right, and I'd rather not trade it. And I'm like, you know what, I'm getting hurt on Tesla. I'm going to go trade Meta. I'm going to go trade something else, because Tesla is just not behaving right now. Instead of trying to force it. And I've seen you sometimes, Gator, do that, where Tesla's acting weird, and you just take a few trades in the morning and you just lay off of it, and you're like, you know what, I don't need Tesla today. I'm going to do Facebook, or which is Meta, or something else. So can't get too bent on like, okay, Tesla's the pony that pays me, and I'm going to get paid today with Tesla, because maybe she don't want to pay today.
Yeah. And that's how you get hurt, and then you have a really bad day because you start doing that. If you get too sucked in on a name that's in a consolidation phase as opposed to a breakout or breakdown phase. And and for Tesla, I think I said today, like on chat for a second when we were whatever, Tesla, I've made not quite, almost $250,000 more in Tesla than any other name. If y'all want to know how much Tesla's my focus and how much I trade that name. Like, it is by far my most profitable name by around $250,000. That's how much I trade that name, and that's how much I make in that name. And it's about to change. So it's not like this isn't affecting me or isn't going to, but it's going to be annoying a little bit. But I'm like that meta setup that happened today, or other ones that happen. That same stuff still sets up in these names, these patterns of the moves and the fibs or the moving averages and whatever it is. All that stuff is still setting up. Like, you can trade the Qs. Like, I feel pretty confident in trading the Qs and making money. There's some days I've made more in the Qs than I have in Tesla. Because you focus on it, Geronimo's trading it, you wait for the levels to hit, and you can scalp the Qs, pretty well if you can time your entries.
Yeah, that might be my new thing. I might be a Q trader. We'll see what happens.
Just trade the NAS. At least they're not going to split. You don't have to worry about that.
Or maybe we'll be Tesla Q, for on the put side. Maybe we'll do common shares and Tesla Q instead of put options. We'll see what works. So
yeah, whatever works, we're going to do. And if you're going to be a trader, it's kind of what you got to do, right? Like, if you want to do this for more than something, it's like you can't. The overall price action trading you can continue to do, but you have to be willing to continue and adapt with the market. But if you're just like, I only do this specific, and even Mark used to say this, if you're just like, oh, the Mark 1s aren't always going to work like they do right now, then guess what? They don't work like they used to, like all the time, because it's not 2020 and things aren't just going up. So you have to be willing to just see what's changing and adapting. And now we're buying on, like, me. I'll say me, I'm buying on, like, oh, shakeout hammer. Oh, I'm waiting for this. I'm waiting for that. It's different than just like, oh, there's a Mark 1 setup. I'm going to take it. It's a 1-minute breakout, in thin air without anything else going on. And we've adapted and we've continued to grow. And, I think we've grown through a lot that's happened in this room. And we continue to trade, and we're still here.
I would just like to say how impressed I am how we have stayed together as a group, and how we have evolved as a group and helped each other as a group. And really, I it would have. I'm really impressed. I
Mhm.
really am. If someone had asked me, where would we be a year later, I really wouldn't know. So I think that's a lot of testament to our initial training and the what's the word, the tone and the tenor of Mark, and how he would always be preaching, if you want to use that word, what's working for you, share what's working, help each other out, do evolve and adapt. So I remember one thing he said, the one thing you'll always have to do as a trader is evolve your strategies. Your strategies will always have to evolve. He says that is a given and a constant.
Mhm.
So that rings in my head all the time. Like, at first when he said it, I was like, oh, you mean what we finally figured out works all of a sudden, or slowly will then stop not working, and we got
Yeah.
to figure out something else? I was like, oh,
I don't
how's
want
that
to
gonna
do
happen?
that.
Exactly. So, but yeah, I think he was, really set that role model and that the group has really done that. So a lot of appreciation.
Oh yeah, he spent like a massive, more than anybody else I know, amount of time helping people out and helping people learn how to trade, and the amount of time he put into it, and then hopefully some of us and everyone here, I think his amount of time that he put into it and the amount that he cared helped others, like, um, put themselves into it, and like it means more than just, oh, it's just some random whatever it is we do, like, a lot of people here help each other. There's been plenty of times Mitchell, you, CT have saved my day, being like, oh, I see this, or oh, this is setting up and I like this short. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm wrong, I'm out, boom, I'm gonna do this is better. And save days or weeks, save me from being toxic, which could have saved a down week, which could have saved a down month, which is what, and that we help each other out.
And being able to learn from each other, because I've learned so much from you. I can't, even begin, like, the things I've learned from you and the things I've learned from JR. It's just all evolve as, it's like as a group think we are so much stronger and more I don't know what the word, like, I want to say not more intelligent, but more strategic as a group than if it's just you yourself trying to navigate and make sense of everything. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, yeah, sometimes you do, but when you have that group input and that group where we can learn from each other, I mean, that's like putting 10, 100, minds together, and you can create, like, we can take a rocket and go to the moon. So one person, you tell one
Mm-hmm.
person, here, make a rocket and go to the moon. That's going to be really hard to do. But, 1,000 people, here, make a rocket, go to the moon. Yeah, we can do that.
Mm-hmm.
So creating somewhat like that as well.
And that's why I don't, like, that's recently, if you guys have noticed, like, I haven't done as much. It's like, oh, here's exactly how I'm scalping Tesla, or like I don't share my screen or do some of the stuff like that. It's because I think in order to grow, we really have to learn what the other person's doing. And it's why I like having Mitchell on, or I like to have you on and I know everybody else is really busy and it's hard, but CT on and stuff, I like to hear what people are thinking and doing, because it's like, if you're telling me that you are sitting there in the afternoon and you're able to find the scalps and the stuff, these little 1 minute stuff, when you're identifying those moves, that is a way for other people to be helped, for me to be helped, who don't like to do certain things. You can be like, man, I'm having a hard day. Well, let's look for this. This worked in the past. And you can start trying to put together little things that can help you if you're having a hard day and you're trying to come back, or you're trying to do this. Like, hey, let's just wait for a downtrend to set in, a little bit of slow selling off. Let's wait for a 4-point drop, then a little bit of flagging or consolidation, then let's take a 1 minute breakdown. And you can start putting together ways to stop yourself from getting toxic, because you have this community of people around you that are trading, that are trying stuff, that are getting good, and they're all working together and they care. And so hearing from you, hearing from CT, hearing from Mitchell and others, it's a massive help to myself, and I think to the community as a whole, because we all bring something different to the table, and we all bring some of the same things to the table. And it's nice when those things kind of, you know, mix.
Oh, awesome. Been a great show. I have to I have to go in about 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
if there's anything anybody wants to ask or
Yeah, we've been going for a bit. And then Robert, yeah, if you trade the Qs and you get good at trading the Qs, I mean, they're not going to change, generally speaking, other than some aggressive stuff. So you're really going to be able to trade them well. And like once you get good at them, you know, you can. JR is amazing at them, and if you're going to be trading with him, he's going to call out the moves. Why not? Why not learn to trade them? I would. And thanks for coming on tonight, Rose.
yeah, absolutely.
While we wait, if anybody has chat, I'll throw on really quick, and if not, I'll let you bounce. I'm out for the rest of the week. I might be on Thursday evening, and then I'll do a. I might be on Thursday, and then late afternoon, depending on what time I get back to Georgia, and then I'll be on Friday, trading Friday, and I'll try to do some shows. FYI, just a little bit of market update. Q says the descending line. Tops line, I meant to short it today when it hit that, and I was doing other stuff. I didn't think about it for like a swing short. I think we're going back down to 305, and then from there, if you get some bad news, I see the market beginning to make new lows on the year. I don't know when they're going to do it, and I don't think it's going to happen right away, but maybe let's just put it this way. I'm going to be on vacation tomorrow, but if I look and the Qs are gapped up, especially near this, or they're like in the middle in this range of the 320s or something, I'll probably be taking a swing short position for the week, and I might go in like a month out Q short. You could even take some December like 260 puts or something like that I'm thinking about doing. So I'm fairly bearish on the market, and I'm not saying we don't have a little bit more sideways action and up move, but we're one bad headline away, I think, from a nice sell-off. And you know, you might have some room up still. You know, you might have some room to 329, 330, like you could, but we're in my opinion really getting to the end of this, and the Qs look like they're going to sell off to me. So that's just my thoughts. They're not really worth anything, and they're not trading advice, but I'm just telling you what I'm looking at in the market. All these pops seem to be sold. Tesla seems to be extended to the upside. I see it going down. I see a lot of a nice crash coming. That's just me. That's just me. What am I doing? So anything? I don't see anything. Oh, thanks, Anya. Yep, new baby gator on the way. A dude in December, so just like my last boys were in December, so December is going to be a fun month.
Oh, that is so awesome. I've got to take off, so
Yep.
It's been great. I've got to take off. It's been great. So, yeah, let's trade awesome without our Tesla whisperer. So we'll have to pull up the slack. So awesome, Gator, and you
Thanks.
have a wonderful week away from the market.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it, Rose. Thanks for coming on. You're amazing. And I'll catch you later this week. But have a good one. Really appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Bye.
I will be on for a quick second. Let me throw up a chart. I'll just go over to there and there. So, yeah, I don't have, let me see. Don't have too much else. Really, I'm not even going to mess with this. Don't have too much else going on, guys. I'm still on this travel computer and all this fun stuff, so I need to set it up for streaming. But thank you guys for coming out. If you have any questions, if not, I'll try to do a show. I'll take a look at some stuff on Thursday, and if maybe I'll do a show on levels or something, maybe something psychology related. We'll see if I trade or not. And if you guys have questions, you can send them to me, and I can do a show on them and talk about them. I'll start doing trade reviews when I get back to Georgia and recording my trades, and then I'm prepping my a separate account for a 5K challenge, which I hope to start next. What month is it? maybe later this month actually. Later this month or early next month, I'm going to start the 5K challenge, and my goal, I think, will probably be to make it by the end of the year, and we'll see if I do it. So I give myself like 3 months. Can I make 20K? Thanks, Dan. In that time. So that's all coming here. So if you like this stuff, you're more than welcome to like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, all that. Sorry, I'm super tired, but you know, do all that. Let me know you like it, and I'll continue to do this, continue to bring people on, and we can continue to grow as a community here and get better and trade. And Tesla splitting isn't going to stop us from doing what we do, and you know, the market going up or down isn't going to stop us from doing what we do. So we're going to keep pushing it. We're going to keep getting better at our trade and at our craft, and we'll do it as a family. So I appreciate you guys. Thanks for coming out to the show tonight. Hopefully you had a good day, a good start to the week, and trade intelligently tomorrow and Wednesday and Thursday. And I'll see you guys Thursday afternoon. I'll probably hopefully be on sometime Thursday afternoon. If not, I'll definitely be on Friday. So at minimum, I'll see you guys then. So have a great rest of your week, and you know, peace out.